jump straight into the workshop then. I have a few questions here. I'll run through all of them. What the actual purpose of the website is today, why do people, companies create websites, what assumptions are we treating as true, how are people currently interacting with websites, what is frustrating about websites, why even build a GPT, and then what are the types of websites we see today. So where would you all like to start?
From the whys.
Yeah.
Why?
Yep.
I think that's a good place. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start here then. Why do people, companies create websites?
You
Yes,
take
I
our
thought-
own notes, or we should just
We'll just talk about it. Whatever comes to mind, I'll just write it down. It's like
Okay.
a normal workshop. So I'll start. One thing is to be to have a presence in the digital space. Okay. What else?
to sell their product, to sell their services,
Yeah, to be discovered
market.
basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to market their company.
Okay.
Ultimately
Maybe
for Google to index you. Yes.
to
Yeah.
educate or knowledge share.
SEO.
Could purely be for business aspect to sell your whole business is just digital, in the sense that it's just products that you're selling online.
Yeah. So I think that falls under this, right? Users can discover your product or service offering.
Okay.
Another huge part of it is to foster communities. Social media is a modern example of that. Forums and um, um, yeah, basically forums, sharing problems. Yeah, knowledge share, basically what you said, but a little bit more specific.
Mm, okay. So I think is there? Can anyone think of anything else?
The last one is also, I think, partly true because somebody
Awesome.
has, because everybody else has. It's like must at this point.
Okay. So it's because and you see if you have like a website, then
Yeah, you're
it
legit more professional.
so that's the only why. The otherwise, why build a GPT? But I think because
Can come at last.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I think these two are pretty much the same. What is the actual purpose of a website today? I think we have covered it here actually.
Yeah, kind of answer that question.
Yeah. Is it information, conversion, credibility? Maybe we can talk about from the user's point of view. What do users expect?
I think depends on what they're looking for. They look for other information. They look for maybe a service, a product. They look for uh, data. Maybe they're looking for something as market research, maybe for their product, for their service, something to benchmark, something to have as a reference point.
Okay, yeah, those are good
Maybe
points.
just it's
To,
research.
to reference or benchmark, to research,
Yeah,
then to buy a product
service.
or service. So the thing with services is that how often have you gone to a website to buy a service?
Personally, don't think that I have bought a service from a website. Maybe to learn about the service, to
Yeah.
Yeah, learn about that service and maybe then find an alternative
Yeah.
I
is
So
more likely, I guess.
so
I
my
have, yeah.
I was gonna say, again, this is a giant assumption. We don't have a lot of uh, data from users, but based on based on the conversations we have had and the experience we have had, it's usually someone refers this person, and then what we do is we go and check out their website just to make sure, or just to double check, or just to validate.
I
But
have
it's all
actually I have actually gone through top 10 lists pretty frequently and researched each one and seen how the information resonates with me and subscribe to their services. So that's how I found Toggle, that's how I found ClickUp, that's how I found
top 10 service.
um,
That's
that's how I
look at
found Linear. Um, yeah, that's how I have found products and services. That's how I found Notion also, actually. So top 10 lists are basically a pretty common way, a gateway for SEOs to kind of redirect. I think your own research has indicated that as well, Ali, when you're talking about SEO.
yeah, yeah. So no, this is yeah. Considering that there are millions and millions of services out there, I think this is one. What do you all know any other ways where people look for?
From social media, basically.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
Mm.
you can find all of these applications or brands on social media. Maybe that's how you kind of discover them or you stumble across them. But ultimately, you go to the website to kind of learn more about them. And from that point on, if you're an active, uh, if you're actively researching them for your own use case or for your own company or for your own purposes, um, you would at least that's how I have used it. I find how the website kind of speaks to me, and if it's speaking to me, and if it's connecting with me in terms of what I'm looking for, then I'm more likely to dig further.
Okay,
I
so
have also gone through maybe references or ads or sponsor content on maybe for example YouTube videos. For example, you're looking at a tech or some related video and then they have been sponsored by a company which plays as an ad or even the YouTuber talks about it. That's one way I have found some of the products.
okay, so more often than not, the user has knowledge about the service or product or company, and they come to the website to after.
Hmm.
Not necessarily, but
They-
but you
yeah,
have
they
labeled it as an assumption. I have my own workflow is different, so um, I have come across like things that I don't know of, but pique my interest, and then I go and check out the website to learn more.
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
say
So
same. I would say same. I would say
exactly.
they have more knowledge about the general industry that product or services in, and then they are okay. Like
Yes,
maybe that this is
yes,
something. This tool is something that interests me.
yeah.
Okay,
Just
The
say that they
so
have.
industry is
okay,
the
knowledge
tool.
is a strong word then. So it's probably basically what I'm trying to say is that you have gotten that information from either social media or,
Yeah, it has
or
been referenced to you. It has been
yeah,
uh,
and then you're going to the website to verify or learn more.
correct. Yeah, find out exactly what they're offering. See
Yeah.
how it will be beneficial for you, basically.
This
It is.
at that point, the company, the brand, even the service itself, maybe the service, but it's mainly the industry that you're interested in, not the brand or the product. The brand or the
Yeah.
product could be anything. I would say that this kind of works better.
See, this is copied it, right?
No, can you bring it back, please? Yeah, I don't think the brand or the product really matters. It's more about the industry.
Ah,
That
okay,
that's how I would say it.
right.
And then after I learn more about the website, at least for me, then I connect with the brand or the product or whatever it is.
Yeah, I
Right.
think it's a similar approach for me as well.
Okay. And I think it's the same for me also. If I come across it on socials, or if a YouTuber talks about it, or if there's any marketing, then what I do is I check out their website after.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's usually through somewhere else. They're always coming in through YouTube or other socials. Okay. So okay. So shall we jump to shall we talk about what the types of websites are today?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think one big one is information.
We have e-commerce, forums, social medias.
SaaS applications, landing pages, blogs.
SaaS.
product
Blogs are
product infomercials.
e-commerce kind of covers products, information.
E-commerce is okay, I guess, but what if it's a product, not products? You're focusing on a product or maybe a service. It's like singular. Does it fall under e-commerce?
Yeah, no, if you're able to go through a payment gateway and buy that singular product, it's still an e-commerce website, no?
Got it. Okay. Multimedia.
Streaming applications.
Educational also.
Yes.
YouTube, Netflix.
Education.
Repositories basically. Education is kind of like a purpose. So better term is educational repositories, like Wikipedia.
Libraries like research articles. That also fall under educational repositories.
Or maybe a better ways could be article repositories, or just maybe for educational purposes. This could be like multimedia also, I mean. Also, I think I don't know if this needs to be a separate thing, but
Yeah, government website
um,
basically.
government websites, like official government
Yeah.
websites.
Yeah, but like what do they do? It's either educational or informational. They fall within this.
That's true, yeah. But they are
It could
unique in the
be,
sense
yeah, they
they're
unique
unique.
maybe for service also. It could be like maybe for passports, for visas.
Yeah. So
That doesn't
Yeah,
again,
but
service websites. So government is
what I'm trying to say, it may not fall here maybe, but what I'm trying to say is that it's a legitimate thing that nobody else can really offer, kind of. But yeah, maybe it doesn't belong here.
graphic
right.
Maybe
sites like FreePic and Pexels. Does that fall under this
resource.
resources?
Mm. Mm. That's a good one. Or maybe we can or download purposes.
Yes, music streaming sites,
Yeah,
streaming applications. Okay,
streaming applications, Spotify, for example.
that's about it.
There could be more.
Yeah, in general, broader sense, I think we've covered most of the industries sites.
Mm.
Yeah. So I think the goal is to just break down everything that we currently know and what we are working with, and then kind of talk about the frustrations and how everyone's interacting with it, and then kind of map it to, for example, how customers are interacting with SaaS. Is it useful or informational or whatever these are, right? So I think it would be useful to come to this now. What's frustrating about websites? What do most websites get wrong? again, these are assumptions or like things that may be subjective also, but we can all note it down. Note it down here.
Information overload, I feel. Some sites are just,
Hmm.
yeah, there's too much information.
Not being
And
able to find what you want.
yeah, and I think the opposite also of information overload, not enough information.
Hmm.
Alternatively, not enough. But
Then
Ads have become a little annoying as well.
annoying ads.
Sponsored content, maybe that falls under ads itself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I yeah. Building on this point, it's less about sometimes about the customer and more about just showing up
Mhm.
high
Yeah.
on Google.
What do you mean by gamified?
Um, Website.
um, you
Um,
have two types of blogs. You have journalistic blogs like what The Verge and Vox and Inverse and these other,
Yeah.
you could call them more journalistic blogs.
Okay.
But you have other types of blogs that serve only to kind of surface your website on Google.
Right.
Um, I think our own blog kind of is built for that purpose. It's not really built to um, to discover or to uh, research or analyze. It's more about putting content out there so that when people are looking for things that are relevant to our industry or to our service, they are more likely to come across our
Mm.
website or across our blog. So it's two different kind of use cases almost. While blogs were originally built for sharing information,
Mm.
but because of the way SEO has kind of been used across the years now, um, the distinction between providing information that is useful for the end user versus serving to kind of serving to elevate your website in all of the various medias like social media, Google search,
basically,
coming
websites
across
are more
top 10 lists, etc.
websites are more SEO friendly than user friendly.
It's putting it nicely, I think. Yeah.
Websites,
Not
I feel
user
like is
friendly.
a very broad term. Um, I think blogs is a better specification there.
Not just blogs. There are definitely, uh, for example, informational websites. So out of these, for example, now if you put this here, and if we can map them out,
Yeah, I think it's not just blogs. I think
I
Ali with
don't
agree with Ali.
because
Like
I've worked
Mhm.
on websites where we first of all the attention span is very low. So what we're trying to do is kind of keep the content less and then communicate, keep the content rich and communicate the most useful things with less words. But eventually it ends up with, okay, we want to say a lot more. We need to use these
mm,
words, or we need to
yeah.
make it as friendly, etc., etc.
I think some of the even the e-commerce websites now just have blogs just for the reason to promote their products, and like you said, to bring their site up on the Google Index so that their products can be
Yep.
more visible to the user than their competitors. So maybe it's, yeah,
Okay. So in your experience, is SEO applied directly to the website or directly to the blogs?
just to the website. I feel like now it applies in more general sense than just for blogs. So people are applying meta tags and meta descriptions to all the pages and not just blogs. which is what's required of Google basically at this point to bring
Which I
your
think that kind of serves the purpose, right? Of SEO. If people are doing that, then they're building their
Ye-
websites.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
it's not disrupting the user's experience with the website. Those are
But
all
that
sort of
just
it's a
adds,
hidden
they're
layer,
adding.
right?
Yeah, for sure. The meta is definitely meta information is hidden, but they're adding content, I would say, that is not required. For example, like I said, e-commerce website having blogs, it's not required. Maybe they don't need a blog required. They're just having a blog section or
Yes.
blog pages, articles up, which are just linked to speaking about some
Yeah.
related problem.
So again, you mentioned blogs. So it seems like the blog is kind of like the main culprit here, because the blog is a dynamic thing where you keep updating information, and that kind of
Hmm.
corresponds to the website. That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to understand.
Okay.
So, is the website the inherent culprit, or is it the blogs that are the inherent culprit?
Um. Yeah. In that sense, I think the blogs would be to take the blame for. So, because they become these additions to unwanted information, unwanted extra bloated information that's there on the website, which is not
No.
required for the user to browse through, so to find
So
what they
Hmm.
need.
so if I think based off of what Abdul is saying, um, I'm thinking of websites where the content is being adjusted to serve SEO more than the user. So it doesn't necessarily have to be blogs. So for example, it's not keeping in mind the user. For example, now the one of the clients that we are working with, it's just information. Uh, it's not keeping in mind the user at the end of the day. It's just like put as much information in as possible so that we rank higher.
Yeah.
So I think that's what maybe Abdul, if that's what you're referring to, I agree
Yes.
with. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's not
This is.
necessarily just the blogs. I think that's very much in the case of informational websites nowadays,
Mm.
or even service-based websites. Very much so, service-based websites.
Yeah, even like service-based websites, they just talk about what their service is doing in form of articles, in form of again blogs, and that maybe the user has come to their site just to purchase service to learn about their service, but instead they're just learning about the industry, learning about related stuff that they're not, or finding information that they're not even looking for, basically.
Hmm.
So again,
Hmm.
information overload on one website.
Hmm. Yeah, I think this.
That would be,
So
I guess,
it's
the main problem of
hmm.
what websites do right now.
Okay. So yeah. So I think we're kind of coming to how AI is sort of invading the space, kind of.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So I think one thing we can add here to what is frustrating about websites is um, how AI has taken over as the de facto
Yes.
writer for most blogs that serve SEO purposes. And it's essentially bots talking to bots. You're making an AI write articles specifically so that another bot or an AI can read those articles and rank the website higher or lower or however. So I think AI has kind of infiltrated this space a little bit more and kind of making the SEO space a little bit more murky. Like it's like really messy at the moment.
But I think what has also happened is AI has affected the user side as well, whereas now instead of searching on Google or searching on maybe any other search engine platform, you just talk to an AI platform like ChatGPT and just look for information that you want. Because like the problem that we have, there's so much information on World Wide Web that it's really hard to get a best answer. So
Hmm.
you just rely on like the language models to
Hmm.
look through all the data that is there available for them and then give you the best answer basically
Hmm.
for your question.
Yeah.
Practically,
So
I would say that this is a very small percentage, though.
Do you think? I would say most of the people who used to go on Google and ask questions or find solutions
So,
are now going to
so
GPT.
so I think we can treat both as assumptions. I would say
Hmm.
we don't really have data on that because we
Yes,
don't know if everyone is using ChatGPT, and we don't know. And this is also, I would say, assumption. A small percentage is also an assumption. It could be a large percentage because most of the people I know are now you. Everyone I know is using ChatGPT actually to search for whatever they want, as opposed to going to the website and trying to find exactly. So not being able to find what you want kind of directly ties in with this here, which is why I think everyone is just using ChatGPT. Just this is my question. I want the answer. Give it to me. That's all it is.
mm, yeah.
So this I would say is like an assumption.
Hmm.
And then there's another assumption that we usually make when making websites ourselves is that we focus a lot on the homepage, and the assumption is that most users don't go beyond the homepage. So because
Um, I don't know about this. I feel like I said, when I was doing the research, I always go beyond the homepage. Like 80% I go beyond the homepage. Because I'm looking in the specific case of researching, you're always looking for specific information. So you don't necessarily just stick to the homepage. You reach the homepage, and most likely you're kind of looking for the menu where you can look for features or pricing or specific pages like that.
That
So
that may be true for maybe the
yeah.
previous generation who are not accustomed to maybe who have seen the initial stages of websites when they used to be when like early 2000s when the websites were there used to be different pages for each, but maybe the new generation are not really doing this. They don't do the research. They expect information. Again, this is since you're talking about assumptions. This is an assumption. Maybe the yeah, the recent generation in the late 2010, 2015 generation. That's how they search for information.
so you're saying this is so you're
Um, that
area, or you're not?
no, I
Sorry.
think I think this is a question of literacy. So like for example, if you're using Gen Z as a model, Gen Z are basically digital natives. They are very savvy with how the internet works. So they kind of actually know how to use the internet better than the old generation actually. So it's not like they are impatient for information. It's more like they know how to find the information they want. So that could be across platforms. It could be using the website, also using the social media, also using other sources of information. Again, yeah, this is also sort of like just observation and base assumptions.
So
Um,
yeah, so like I've written here, SaaS universities, these are in these type of websites, you usually go beyond the homepage. So e-commerce,
Hmm.
product documentation, these are some. So this is, yeah. So in okay, and then the other assumption, of course, is that SEO ruins websites by encouraging content load.
hmm.
So in the
The
case of,
ultimate culprit, yeah, the ultimate culprit here is Google. If you're using Google, then you're dealing with SEO. And the insight I suppose that I have here is that because you want to rank on Google, you have to play with SEO. And it's not necessarily a bad thing to have a blog that kind of helps elevate your website. It's more like this is how the game is played. And therefore, even if you're not a big fan of content bloating, it's unfortunately the only way that you can be ranked higher on Google.
Hmm.
So if you're playing within the Google search uh, field, this is what you have to do, unfortunately.
but
But yeah.
the issue other issue here is we over here, if now we mentioned that where you mentioned, yeah, so user has knowledge about the industry and they come to the website to learn more, right? So
Hmm.
how do they how do they how do they first come across this information? And that information is also kind of defined by SEO, really. Because even
Not
on
necessarily. That's like a pie chart. Like a certain percentage, yes, but another percentage of people also live on social media a lot. So ads surface over there. Based on your usage, the algorithm will serve you suggestions as well. Your feed is adaptive to your lifestyle. That those factors are also there in terms of how you kind of come. Also, like I like old school newsletters also are very effective. They have kind of evolved into blog articles as well. So it's sort of like that. For example, on The Verge, um, there's this newsletter called, what's it called? Can't remember it off the top of my head. Um, Trying to look for it. Um, mm, 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 mm. But basically, it's a newsletter, and he goes through a couple of different things. It goes through user recommendations, services, websites, applications, stuff like that, like what followers of the newsletter kind of recommend to him. And then there's another section where the writer himself, has used these items, and he's kind of promoting it on the newsletter as well. Promoting in the sense, not as paid promotions. It's more like, hey, I like it, you might like it too, sort of a thing. So that's also another form of authentic, like it's very authentic. It's not SEO, it's not going through like a algorithm, it's not going through anything like that. Um, um, uh,
One more point, I think, on the SEO point that you said that you have to play by Google's game. I think that
mm,
that has changed in the recent years, last maybe 2 years, 3 years since OpenAI rolled out ChatGPT and how users are
mm,
searching for information. So
yeah.
even now, I think Google is testing. It's in, I think, the testing phase right now. It has been only for some premium subscriptions. It has search Google search.google or something like that, where you just search for what you want and you get the direct answer like you get on ChatGPT. But it's a
Mm,
little more friendlier. The UI
mm.
is more friendlier. So inherently SEO is, I think, is changing. Ranking on maybe the index will not matter, I guess, after a certain point
but again,
when we
isn't the Google AI, it's also searching through the articles that are.
yes, so what I think what it does is it searches through all the articles and then it
Mm,
just gives information basically what you're looking for, exactly what you're looking for. For example, if you say, I don't know, if you search for what are the stock prices or something like that, you don't have to go through a bunch of stock tracking websites and see find information for yourself, but you just get that answer basically. The stock price of Google is this much, or it dropped this much. You're just getting that one sentence and maybe
Yeah,
the references from where it has gotten from.
yeah, yeah.
So
I think that
I
is.
haven't seen the I haven't seen how it's working, but it's in testing scenario. I've seen it being rolled
mm.
out to some of the customers. Google has claimed they're going to roll out to millions of users very soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I just did like a simple Google prompt, and this is according to Google. I don't know
Okay.
how true this is as a source.
Okay, so basically direct SEO doesn't work.
Okay, so let's assume I'm searching for someone who builds MVPs, right?
Okay,
Now, many companies who are building MVPs. How would this work?
That's a broad question. What are you looking for
Eh,
specifically?
Um, like I'm asking about what ChatGPT would. Again, most likely ChatGPT. What ChatGPT would do is, or what Google AI would do is, it would list down the top 10. And how would mm,
I'm talking more in line with you're looking for certain more like more information or data, not maybe a product or service.
Mm,
So
okay.
this is what I'm talking about. I think share screenshot over here. They launched this. You get basically AI-powered response. So I'm not sure how SEO will work with this,
Mhm.
and you can just keep on asking follow-up questions until you get the answer that you desire.
Okay. Okay, so then the idea that we have about building a GPT specific to a website, um, like why not a search bar or why not a chatbot? That's the main question I would say. Like why doesn't a chatbot work right now? Why don't people use chatbots or even a search bar?
I think people don't trust chatbots. They because it feels like they know they're talking to a bot, and they don't maybe they don't see the information as 100% reliable. Maybe they just need that. They're accustomed to websites giving information, and they're okay, like this is written by a human, it's validated by a human, so it must be true. But whereas chatbots, if you're just talking to a bot, maybe what if this information is wrong? What if it doesn't work? What if I waste my money basically?
Hmm.
So maybe they just want verification or validation that okay, whatever they're listening to is whatever they're getting information is accurate.
But it's the same with an AI GPT. So
Yeah, so
although
chatbots, I think chatbots were way before AI was introduced. Chatbots were introduced. There have been chatbots where you're talking to bots. So the what do you say, the link to chatbot is from there, from before AI. Now whereas AI, we know it's trained, the model, it's trained on real world data. It's trained from and whereas even AI, when they give answers, certain chatbots, certain LLMs, they give references to where they get the information from. For example, this DeepSeek introduced deep research. Then Google followed, and even OpenAI, ChatGPT followed after that. So it gives references to where it gives reasoning. It shows the its reasoning process. Basically, it's I'm thinking about this. Now next, I'll think about this. No, this is wrong. I'll think about this. So it shows the reasoning, which gives confidence maybe to the user,
Mhm.
and it also gives references on where it's getting the information from.
Right, yeah, these are important points actually. Okay, so I think you pretty much covered why AI over chatbot actually.
Yeah.
Then why not a search bar?
What do you mean by a search bar? Is it like just a search bar?
Yeah, you're looking for
A
information.
search
You just
engine? Search
no,
engine.
no, no, no. A search bar on a website. We're talking about building a GPT for a website, right?
Yeah.
Like
Ah, right.
if
Okay. You mean like a, no, the standard
yeah,
search bar? You mean standard
yeah.
search bar where you search
For
through all the
example, now
information?
if this is one of the issues, some websites can have information overload. Like, wouldn't a search bar solve that problem?
Uh, up to certain extent, yes, I would say. If you're looking for something specific, if you know what you're looking for, maybe yes. Looking
Right. Yeah.
for a specific brand, I'm looking for a specific brand of product for specific model. So I know what I'm looking for. I come search, get the product, and I'm done with. But maybe you don't know what you're looking for.
Right.
You're looking for something broader. You're looking for maybe I want to buy a pen. I don't know what model to get, what color to get. So in that way, a GPT would give suggestions, ask you questions, your preferences, maybe your use case, and based on that, it can maybe provide a informed answer or informed product maybe.
You could potentially be searching for the wrong thing also and not
Yeah.
get an answer. And then in case of a GPT, it can, like you said, it can ask you more questions and really um,
Yes.
prompt,
Maybe improve your search.
yeah, suggest what your. So this would be really useful for this RS metrics, for example. Like they
For
have
sure. Yes.
certain products
Yes. Yeah.
that obviously people don't know about, but they have very specific use cases. For example, like an investor wanting to learn more about um, uh, being able to invest in assets.
Yeah.
So for someone like RS Metrics, it would be really useful because it would lead them to exactly what they require, as opposed to having to read through all the products or solutions and them trying to figure out what works for them. But
Yeah.
in most cases, if it's within the field that they are interested in, they would go to the website, maybe just check the homepage, and then just reach out through email or schedule a call or something. So
I think
Yeah.
it will also be helpful for subscription services which have maybe tiers. And see, you in pricing pages, what I often notice is they list down all the features that you're getting, but some of them are very specific jargon that you don't understand. So a GPT maybe can help you break it down. Maybe it can help you understand maybe which specific tier that would be useful for you. Uh, which pricing model makes more sense? What are the features that you would get, and does that make sense for you to purchase that?
And give you context.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that would be useful. It actually, now that you pointed out, like one thing with SaaS products, SaaS websites is, and I think Tahir, you mentioned this, is that I would say, most services, they don't list down their pricing, right? And every customer's requirement is also very specific. So, and more often than not, it's just back and forth on emails and time wasted, like from the customer, both from the customer's point of view and from the vendor's point of view. So I think it would be useful to have maybe a GPT which breaks down how much it would actually cost to get this service
yeah.
based on their requirements.
Yeah, it would
So
save so much time for them. Maybe they understand,
yeah,
okay, this company is just not in my in my
yeah,
budget, and just they can look for something else completely.
estimates or share pricing options to the customer looking for a service. Yeah, right. Mm, okay, yeah. But yeah, this would be useful. So in the case of these, then, or the type, would AI, how would AI kind of, how do you all see AI, sorry, GPT helping these,
Streaming.
all of them, not just streaming?
Okay. So I think we talk about SaaS and information on e-commerce maybe.
Yes, yeah.
Those
I
I think
think probably. Is there any other way GPT can help SaaS?
um
So to clarify, we're talking about a GPT that is specifically replacing your website, right?
But
Not GPT
I
in the sense of like for example, ChatGPT.
I would say that in my head, what I'm picturing is, I think, considering that SEO is still um, important, a GPT could be something that complements what you have on your website. So you have your standard website, but on top of that, you have GPT, which has uh, more information uh, that can give the user exactly what they want. That's what I'm picturing in my head. I don't think a GPT can replace websites.
I think
If
the
that's the
term
case,
GPT
how
is a
would
bit
classify it?
confusing because it's directly linked to ChatGPT.
Uh-huh. Okay,
Um,
maybe
yeah, maybe we phrase it differently. Maybe it is
And
essentially a chatbot, but it's based on LLM basically. So large language model. It doesn't have to be ChatGPT. Doesn't have to be DeepSeek. It can be
so. Shall I call it an
not.
LLM?
No, no, no. LLM is something
Large
completely different.
learning model. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think chatbot based on LLMs, which is a search
I
bot maybe.
think
AI.
I think the issue is there's no real word for this, what we're looking for.
Yes, yes. At the moment, there's no word for it.
So it's for example, it's not an AI chatbot. We're not talking about an AI chatbot. That's
Yeah,
not what we're talking about. We're not talking about ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or
yes,
Anthropic or any of those either. What we are talking
yeah.
about is very specifically an AI that's kind of like an agent almost, like something that's
Assistant.
baked into the website. Yeah, like an
Um,
assistant. The generic term would be an assistant.
right. So I think the term agent right now is being used as
As something
something.
else. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
We'll look
Why
used
build an
for
assistant?
yes. Certainly, yes. Assistant is better. Maybe a search assistant, chat
Somewhere,
assistant.
yeah. Let's try and make it ultra clear. Like, okay, um, we have We have AI LLMs, maybe. We need your help here.
I
And we
think
have websites.
this is called LLMs, not AI LLMs.
Okay, we have LLMs, we have websites. So specifically, when we're talking about um, chatbots, that's not what we're talking about. That's outside of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's outside. That's over here. We're talking about a kind of like a hybrid between the ability to make decisions when you're prompting the AI assistant, whatever that is, and you're
Hmm.
able to get really rich, relevant information. That's basically what our kind of talk here has been about, right? How can we um, surface the information we want without the bloat that SEO kind of promotes?
Yeah. Yes. Plus giving additional value by maybe reasoning and giving context to the user as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I think the advantage here is, or rather the question here is, do you think there's one thing that comes with language learning models like ChatGPT, Deep Search, DeepSeek, sorry. Um, there's always that underlying fear that the content may not be 100% accurate, right?
Yeah.
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 So do you
Yeah.
think if it's just focused on the information for like one company or a website,
Yeah.
do you think people will trust it more because the
Yeah,
content
of course,
is not
because
clear?
it's tailor-made. It's tailor-made, so there'll
Yeah.
be more trust involved. It's not like a broker like ChatGPT who is looking at
Yes.
information existing on the website.
Yeah. It's
This is
something for
something that's
references. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's a tailor-made experience.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think it'll have its own brand basically when it's on the site.
So the question is, how do people find this without SEO? Now that's a different challenge again,
It's an interesting challenge. Yeah.
because ultimately, again, it comes down to SEO being the most effective environment for this to kind of be surfaced.
So why can't it be both? Like let's assume you came across something on LinkedIn or your Instagram, right?
Hmm.
Came
Hmm.
across some interesting product, so you'd naturally go to the website to purchase it.
Hmm.
Now, just like just like how a search function or a chatbot is available, why can't this be available instead of those
Hmm.
two with the website to help you out and to help you find you something more interesting? It's the only issue I see here is that we have to find a way to kind of probably
Hmm.
separate what this is from the search bar and the chatbot, so it's not
Yeah.
mistaken for.
Yeah. Also, like if you're talking based on what you just said, if the future is people browsing on chat GPTs or Geminis, where they are borrowing off information that's already out there, if that is how we are finding information, so then we need to find a system where the AI can talk to website AI assistants.
As in the system that we're trying to build. So the language models like ChatGPT should be able to talk to the AI assistant that
Hmm.
is on the website.
Essentially, that's what SEO is, right? SEO is a bridge. It's like Google search is linked to websites via SEO. So if SEO is a problematic thing right now, and if you're picturing a future where we are breaking the SEO, we're breaking that bridge, we need to replace it with something else. So right now, that a viable thing is an AI talking directly to the website AI via some form of connectivity.
Yeah.
What that connectivity is the main thing. Like I feel like that would be a very seamless process. Like ChatGPT can understand context. It can ask you Gemini, ChatGPT, whichever. It can ask you relevant. It can understand your context, the context you're providing. Based off that, it can go through its list of um, websites that are in its repository or whatever, or directory or whatever, and you can surface the most accurate information that companies, corporates, startups have provided in their tailor-made experience. So there is no sort of gamification happening because it's an intelligent and intuitive way of connecting dots as opposed to a formula.
That
Does that
yeah,
make
but
sense?
that means that AI systems have to be widely popular and widely used across majority of
Yeah,
the sites
yeah,
for yeah for
yeah,
the GPTs and the Geminis to be able to talk to them, because it'll require a custom solution, it'll require custom bridge instead of SEO basically. It'll have to be built.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So hold
Mm,
on. Just to clarify, so the, the GPT, for example, ChatGPT will speak to the website AI assistant as
Yeah,
opposed to
Mm.
the website
And
itself.
SEO.
the
Yeah, and
website.
it's translated via an SEO filter.
So the reason is because the AI system will be having all the knowledge of that company, of the brand, of what is the product or service that is.
Right.
So, for example, the AI GPT user comes and asks a question which is related to that company. It
Mhm.
speaks to that AI assistant, gets the relevant information, and then translates it into the context that the user is providing to give a relevant answer.
The downside of this is this works for some specific, like for example, now if it's educational or informational, I think you lose the element of discoverability, right? And the
Not necessarily.
same thing goes for blogs. Like you find something interesting that you may have not even known about, or words that you
Not
meant not.
Yeah, people would have to kind of adapt to, they would have to evolve the way they kind of browse the internet. If you're talking about the different segments that we have here, I feel like each one can be accommodated. Like for example, okay, I want to learn something new. uh, ChatGPT specifically, and also Gemini specifically, they have memory, so they know exactly what you mean when you say certain things and what your interests are and stuff like that. It's not so very different from how social media algorithm will work. Um, in fact, an AI can potentially also uh, surface things that you may not have thought of or thought you needed potentially. So when it comes to research, for example, I can enter a prompt saying I want to research this. Based on how specific your prompt is, it can generate whatever information you're looking for. Um,
Yeah, but that's still specific, is what I'm trying to say. Because
yeah,
you're typing in, I
it,
want to research this.
I
Then
think
isn't
that
that the isn't
it's
that the
not
whole thing we have been talking about? When we're talking about discoverability, we are excluding a direct way to get the info we want. So, for example, the client that you spoke about, where they have loads of information because they want to be discovered and they don't want to lose the customer at any point, they bloat the website with lots of content in the hopes that the user can discover this content. But if the user is looking to discover things, they can simply prompt that approach. Like, okay, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I know it's within this certain Venn diagram of information that I'm looking for. Can you help me find what I'm looking for? So that is a different way of discovering things.
yeah.
that is one type of customer, I would say. Like for sure.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just thinking from the point of view, again, from the same example that we used, the client that we have. I'm an investor, I'm looking for this, but there's something new and upcoming about another area, like another product that I don't know of, I've never heard of, or it's outside of my field, but I'm still interested in. So
Yeah,
I still have the option to learn, right? I wouldn't even search for it if I didn't even know about it. Or if there even like products that exist on e-commerce websites, right? The ones that you're
yeah.
buying right now. Um, if not for the ability to discover it, you wouldn't even know what to search for.
So I think you're mentioning that website as a whole just becomes an AI assistant. I don't think that will happen. Websites will
Yes.
still have pages,
Yeah.
different pages of
Yeah.
different information,
Okay.
and so that
But right now we are
if
talking
you're
about this, right?
sorry,
Which is why right now we are talking about like this replacing websites, if I'm
we
not
just
mistaken.
we're not replacing websites. We're talking about the way you are going to search on the internet. Uh, so over here also you're searching for you're searching through basically a language model
Hmm.
and not a search engine which uses SEO. search engine
Mm,
optimization. Basically, you're not optimizing the search engine. Basically, you're just now the language model is just catering to your need.
mm,
So the language model will just, if you're
mm,
looking for new stuff, I think the language model can still shoot out new areas of interest for you if you're
mm,
doing general browsing. So I think
yeah.
that can cater that in that sense it doesn't even have to talk to an AI assistant. The AI assistant talking to an AI assistant will come into picture when you're looking for something specific, when you have something in mind, we're looking for a
Mm,
product that you want to purchase
yeah.
or a service that you want
Or
to
when you
find.
or when you've gone
Yeah.
through the full website and
Yeah,
trying to figure out
It's
like what works
yeah.
best for you.
It's
exactly.
sort of yeah, it's sort of like when you call up the hospital and you say, "Hey, I need to get an X-ray," and the receptionist is like, "Hold on, I'll patch you through to
To
the X-ray
this,
department."
correct. Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's kind of like the experience that we are envisioning here, where you come to established LLMs like Gemini, GPT, you tell them what you want. It could be discoverability, it could be very specific, whatever it is, everything
mm,
in between. And then if you want to do it, you can tap on, okay, I want to learn more about this, and they take you directly to the
website.
assistant,
Yeah,
the website, and the company's assistant, or whoever kind of takes over from there. It's still very much that same experience, I think, with the prompt. Maybe that kind of breaks away, takes us away from the SEO sort of environment where the website is kind of strategically kind of forcing you to go down this rabbit hole as opposed to you choosing to go down that rabbit hole.
yeah, yeah.
But again, like, yeah, this is like huge behavioral
Change, yes, for sure.
change. Yeah.
So I think the obviously the more realistic approach would be, or the easiest way to get in would be, you find a way to incorporate this into existing websites.
Mm,
Um, it's basically it's still secondary, but it's still there. But also kind of find a way to make it differentiate it from a search bar and a chatbot. So I think that will most likely come down to how how we present this, or how we talk about it, or what words we use. Just
mm.
I think design in general would, I think, make a difference here.
Yeah, so to clarify on that point, when we say chatbots are outside of what we're talking about here, chatbots are in itself like the experience is far too limiting. Uh,
Mm.
Perhaps we need to find a way that where a website turns into something like a chatbot, but is way more engaging, way more intuitive, something a lot more dynamic, essentially, and not
Uh,
just like a input box where you're kind of typing text into. It,
the
it,
other
it
advantage, biggest advantage here is that it'll speak in our it can speak in our tone. We can
hmm,
train it to speak like us. So as opposed to chatbots, right?
yeah.
As in you mean like a human tone.
Yeah, like it can learn the way we talk based
Hmm.
on what we input. So it's not like a bot. It can be like as if you're speaking to one of us.
Yeah, like for example, I've seen examples where you're talking like formal English and then suddenly you say, okay, thank you so much, assalamu alaikum. And then the chatbot will respond, take that and respond with like, and assalamu alaikum to you too, brother. And suddenly like the whole tone kind of changes. Yeah, that can
Yeah,
work. Yeah. I think we discussed this yesterday, but basically Iron Man's, Tony Stark's engagement with Jarvis, the way that natural flow of communication, they kind of got it very spot on. Like we are almost doing that right now with all of the LLMs. Pretty wild.
yes, yes. We're reaching Jarvis level, which is
The only
wonderful.
thing missing now is the holographic interface.
I think
Definitely.
that has also been a lot of people are experimenting with that also actually.
Yeah, to eventually reach that point.
But yeah, I think this was a good workshop actually. I think overall we the conclusion would be based on, of course, what we know and all of the assumptions that we have made. Um, we can we can conclude that GPTs, or maybe not GPTs, whatever, these assistants would very much be useful and can complement a website and can help customers get what they want.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
we can wrap this session up here. I think the next session, what we can do is we can really now explore how we can introduce the this experience into what is currently existing, which is our websites. So we can find a way to kind of maybe build a new design for a website or rethink how websites are made. Find a way to incorporate this.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So thanks for joining. I think we'll schedule the next session after Urdu. Or
Yeah, yes, probably. Yes. Let it be
yeah,
on the
I think at that point, Tahir maybe or and even Abdul, maybe if you're interested, we can do some visual research and come in with ideas of
Yes.
what this can look like.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.